Good morning, everybody. I know. It's Friday, and you probably said they not coming today. They not gonna be here. But guess what? Surprise!
Yeah.
We're back and in living
Friday.
color. It's Friday.
Friday.
Yay! Anyway, good morning and welcome to the BYOB morning show. Okay, the morning show. So it's Friday. What are y'all doing? Y'all on y'all way to work? Y'all watching the news? Somebody gets to stay at home and relax today? What do you have going on today? Today we're going to talk about one of the things we're going to talk about is join us tomorrow night for a webinar, a no cost webinar. Sometimes I don't like that word absolutely, FREE. So I'm going to say no cost webinar
There you go.
tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central, and it's called Your Missing Money Webinar. Join us to learn all the ways that you could be missing money in your business. Now, because life and business intersect, you may be missing money over there too. So it will have a twofold experience for you. So go to bit.ly/missing money 21. Now, got another thing for I want you to do. Share this broadcast out. Why? One, because sharing is caring, and two, we shared it with you. So you go share it with someone else. And don't always share it with your friends. Share it with your acquaintances, share it with your family, but share it with your foes. I used to call them haters. Not gonna call them that anymore. Share it with your foes. Share it with your friends who are watching, who may not always speak about you favorably. And if you share something with them and you know they don't speak about you favorably, it may shock them and say, well, I really need to start paying attention now because she know I don't like her. But she's sharing with me. And sometimes that's all it takes is one share of the broadcast. I am Rose Fauntleroy, and I am your virtual sales genie, which means I make money appear like magic. Okay, go figure. I'm going to pass it off to my beautiful co host. We have someone new here today. Um, and let her tell you who she is and what she's missing from her money.
Good morning, everybody. I am Dawn McCarty. I am the queen of cybersecurity. So I will be helping families and entrepreneurs learn how to be safer online. And as far as where I am missing my money, is that what you stated, Rose? So, it's been a journey this last year. 2020 has been, a good and a bad. I mean, there's always that yin and that yang, right? And one of the things that you think, oh my gosh, this is just a terrible year, but it really was a year for growth too. And I learned about where I was missing my money. I learned that I didn't know certain aspects that could actually be creating money. And that was an important pivot in my life. So sometimes when there's something that is bad and terrible that's going on, we have to be willing to pivot so that you can see in a direction that things are there in front of in your path that you can pick up along the way. But if we're so focused and narrowly focused, we're not going to see these things. So it's important for me anyway. The lesson that I learned was to keep my mind open and be willing to turn my head and look.
That's good, Don, to keep your mind open and to be able to turn and to look and see what's around you. Because a lot of times we think when we are missing money in our businesses and in our lives that it's only right there in
Mm-hmm.
our own lap. When really it might be something all around us, on the outside of us. And you have to be open to see that. That's really good,
Exactly.
Mar. That is really good. Ava, good morning. I see you. Good morning. Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you, Joanne, for sharing. Good morning. That's really good because, another way of us missing our money is sometimes we pick up unnecessary things that we think we are going to use. For instance, like software. I know you can chime in on this, Don, because being in cybersecurity, I'm sure there's always something new coming out.
Oh my
That,
gosh.
that new bell or whistle. And if you're someone like me who likes to um, who likes to tinker and who likes gadgets and new things and things, it's easy to get bogged down with all
Mhm.
the newest and latest toys. But those things may cost you subscription fees, and you end up paying subscription fees for something you're not using. So see, that's a way that you can streamline the missing money, the money that's going out the
Yeah.
window because you're not using it.
Right. And on top of that, so yeah, our applications and softwares and programs and platforms have just increased exponentially. And you're right, when you start playing with the latest and the greatest, because you hear someone else just, downloaded an app and they're suggesting you to do it, and you might end up paying that subscription fee. But what about the time subscription? The time that you have to invest in tinkering to figure out even if that brings you any kind of productivity or any advantage to what your goals are. So if it's not providing you with a valuable resource into streamlining your process, then your time is money. And if you're wasting the time, then you're essentially wasting money.
You're absolutely right. No one, and you know what? When they talk about missing money, when we talk about this missing money and want you all to register for the no cost webinar tomorrow night, um, I don't think I've heard anyone talk about the time that you lose by
By tinkering.
by tinkering. Oh, Don, really?
Sorry, Rose.
Ouch, 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 ouch. Um, but really though, you do, because you're not working on what they call money generating
Yeah.
activities, the
Well,
MGA.
I'm guilty of it too. Yeah, that's not an ouch just for you. That's an ouch for myself as well, because I do want to go and figure out, is this going to be something cool? Do I need to know it for my business? Do people that I work with need to know it? So can I justify why I'm tinkering? Mm.
Well, now you're talking, because if it's something that's going to improve someone else's ability to make money or someone else's ability to just learn, sometimes you do that and you learn something new, and when you share it,
Yeah.
that's why we say share the broadcast, because you think, because and I can only speak for me. I'm only going to speak for me because I have a way of lumping everybody else in with me. And some people may say, I don't want to be lumped in with you, you know, but I have a way, and I've always been this way. And I'm finding I have to open and expand. Ooh, that because I know it, I think everyone knows it.
Yeah.
But
Or should.
or should. But that's the furthest from the truth, because one, they're not walking around in my head. Two, they don't think like I think. So they don't know what I think is easy. What I think comes easy may not come easy to someone else. That
Hmm.
is why we share the knowledge that we have. That's why we have to implement when we're tinkering. We have to implement some of those things that we tinker with. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think it is good to investigate and determine whether or not it is a useful tool, not only just for you, but for other people around you, so that you can share something that can help them be more productive or safer, or, maybe it'll save them money in the long end. There's all kinds of very valid reasons. So there's goods and bads to it where you might need to set yourself some boundaries on how long do I spend on this before I determine how valuable it is as far as giving it my time and also that energy. That energy is also valuable. So some things become an energy vampire or a time vampire.
Ooh.
So we have to make sure that we're not contributing our energy that's taking away from our purpose.
That, you know what that brings to mind for me, Dawn?
What's that?
Another way that we could be missing our money, and this is a big one. And you said it, but I'm gonna put the title on it. Time management.
Time management.
Time management, because you said set boundaries around our tinkering or the things that we're doing. Where you set time boundaries, are you setting time blocks? Are you working in time blocks? Are you putting only a certain number of things on your to-do list? You make a to-do list. Your to-do list could be as long as your arm. If you really sit back and dumped everything out of your head onto a to-do list, that list could be like a what is it, a register tape. It could just get longer and longer and longer. So do you limit the time that you spend on things? And do you limit the number of things you put on your to-do list?
Because that's a good point. I think there's times that I want to finish something. I want to figure out something. I want to, whatever it is, I want it to be off of my list. So I dive in and I give it so much attention. And then later you might realize, I spent so much time doing that, I didn't get to this. So we're spending a lot of time thinking we're being productive, but we have to learn how. And that's something I work on a lot, is how to find a spot that's a good place to stop so that I can get to other business stuff. And then I can go back to that and finish it. But is it really important to finish it at that particular moment? I know that in my time management experience, when you stop doing something in the middle, it takes like we tested it. It was 21 minutes that we would need once we were pulled out of that focus. It would take us 21 minutes to get back into it at the depth that we were at. So that interruption can be a huge interruption. But when you can find a place to stop, it's a good time to check, what else do I have on my plate before you proceed? And that is the time management. Understanding that you have other obligations or responsibilities or things that you might need to put your attention into it, even if it's 21 minutes.
Absolutely. That comes to the time, working in time blocks. A lot of people don't know that it's good to work in time blocks, especially when you have more than one thing on your list to do. But that brings me to another thing. And we can debate this, because a lot of people think multitasking, working on more than one thing simultaneously, works. And it goes back to what you were just saying about finding a stopping point and then stopping and coming back to this thing. And it takes you time to get your mind wrapped around that particular idea versus this one that or activity that you were working over on the other side. How can multitasking, and does multitasking work? And really, what is multitasking?
Well, multitasking has two different definitions, I think. I think the one where people say, oh, I can do multiple things at once. Yeah, well, that's very cluttered. And how efficient is that? What are you actually accomplishing? Because when you finish something, it took focus. And you can only focus on one thing at a time effectively. So there's another part to it, though. How about multi-listening? Because I know people that do multi-listening where they want to listen to this, and I'm guilty, I'll raise my hand. They want to listen to this, but they have to be listening to that. So, like the volume changes. I do it at work all day long. I will sit here and listen for my name to be called while I'm listening to what I want to listen to. As soon as my name is called, I jump in, I do. Is that effective? Not really, because I just got pulled out of what I would needed. And they probably said the nugget that I needed to hear at that moment when I had to cut over.
Right. And it slipped right by. And I was in a meeting early. I had a business meeting earlier this morning before we went live. And we were talking about just that same thing. How you have two meetings going on at the same time. And I was saying, a lot of times I do double duty. I will be on the laptop for one meeting, but I may be over here on my phone for another. Sometimes folks will see me put my earplug in one ear because I got one ear over here. But really, is it effective, Dawn? I'll say it's not. Because you only catch bits and pieces of each thing, and most likely it's not the parts that will serve you well that you catch.
So what is it really called? It's really called fragmenting your time.
Exactly.
It's not multitasking. It's not multi-listening. It's fragmenting your time. You're fragmenting your tasks, and you're fragmenting your listening. And I know listening is very important because of all of the, the infractions, the things that you hear in a voice, the discussions that are being talked about. If you're not 100% wholly listening, then you're missing a lot of that detail that we hear. So I think it's a bad habit that we've gotten ourselves into.
I think it's a bad habit too that we've gotten ourselves into. And I think it's because, one, are we commitment phobic? Because, if you had this meeting booked first, and then another came along at the same time, you have to say yes to one thing, and you have to be able to say no to something else. Which one serves your purpose the best? And if this was booked first, then that should be your priority. You got to say no. You have to say no to something. You can't keep filling your plate with a lot of yeses and not be able to fully focus on everything that you're saying yes to. So see, that's another way that you're missing your money.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to ask. So how does this
serve your bottom line
on that money?
Exactly. Being unfocused. See, a lot of times we think it's the big activity or the big dollar no, it may not even have a front row seat per se to the dollar. It's the being unfocused. It's the intangible thing.
It's also what you don't know you missed.
Right.
You don't even know you missed it. So you think everything is hunky-dory because you had what you think is a productive day. But somebody may have had something that gave you that one missing key, and we were too busy listening to something else.
Absolutely. Tried to do double duty. Well, see, those are also ways that you miss your money. Sometimes it's really not about the actual dollar that's laying out in front of you or that you're trying to make. It's the intangible things that you do that cause you to miss your money, to cause your money to slip by.
Time and energy is in there. Absolutely.
Definitely. And the one thing out of all of that you'll never get back is the time.
Exactly.
Is the time. So
we don't have that rewind on life where we can't go back and re-listen to it.
Oh my goodness, Dawn.
I would love that. Wouldn't you love that?
Oh my goodness. You have said a mouthful. You are right. We do not have the rewind on life. So keep moving forward, everybody, and go over to bit.ly/missingmoney21. We'll be looking for you on tomorrow night, Saturday, at 9 p.m. Central, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. out on the West Coast, I do believe. And my West Coasters, if I had it wrong, let me know.
I think it'd be it's 7. If it's 9 Central, it'd be 7.
Yes. See? I'm not always right. My
All these time zones.
my sisters would say I'm never right. But if you watch disease, but yeah, come and find out other ways that you could be missing your money. It's not always those simple cut and dry things that's right in front of you that we think is causing us to miss our money. You have to take inventory, you know, an internal inventory and an inventory around you to see the things that are dragging down your time, but the intangible things that you may be glossing over and haven't even realized, because that brings home that saying that you hear us all the time. And we hear Coach Danielle saying all the time, because this is her platform. And good morning, Coach. We appreciate you allowing us to share your platform. But you'll hear Coach say, and you'll hear us say as well, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people is like, what really does that mean? Well, the focus, the time management, those intangible things, you don't even realize that may be causing you your forward motion. That may be causing you to miss your money generating activities. That may be causing you to miss out on that one nugget from those two meetings that you're sitting in at the same time trying to listen with each ear, and you missing the whole point altogether.
Yeah. Right. And if you paid for those meetings, if you paid for that counsel, if you paid for that guidance and you're half listening, then you're missing half of the money that you paid to get that. So that right there is you're just throwing money at something, and you're not receiving what you intended to receive by paying for it in the first place. So we have to remember to listen. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying we have to remember to listen when we have put that energy and that intent. Because when you paid for something, that is intent. You intended to absorb that, to receive that, to accept that. And if you're not fulfilling your own intent, you have to ask yourself, what am I going to get out of this? What is my expectation of, knowledge or information? And am I receiving that? Because it may not be that person's lack of delivery. It might be that you were only half participating. Absolutely. And we have to own up to that.
Absolutely, Dawn, because, and you know what that brings up for me, and I wonder if anybody out in the audience agrees as well. A lot of times we will participate in programs, and we will see that the program says this is what you're going to learn. This is what you're going to get. And they may have a list of things. But Dawn, you make an excellent point. If you are not completely focused in and giving your complete attention, can you really come back and say that it's the presenters or the teachers or the coaches or the consultants' fault that you did not get the desired promised outcome?
Yeah.
And we a lot of times will put that, we will get into coaching programs, into classes, into presentations, Dawn, and we'll say, oh, they said I was going to learn such as I didn't learn any of that. But if you're in one ear with something else and you're over here in this ear with that, and you're not fully focused head on, is it really on them? So now you're not only missing your money, you're just throwing your money away.
And your time, because you're supposed to allot time to learn that. It's not a plug-in. You don't get a USB and just plug it in and there it is. I wish we could. But when you are, and then did you even show up on time? What did you do to really get the most out of whatever it is you're throwing your money at? Did you pay attention the whole time, or were you scrolling through Facebook? Were you responding to someone else that sent you a chat? Were you answering a phone call while you're supposed to be in class? What were you doing that would help you engage in that and receive all that information? Because we have to really take responsibility for our money, which means we have to be responsible for our time. We have to be responsible for where we're putting that energy, and are we getting everything out of it that we paid for?
That is really good, Don. You're exactly right. So a lot of times it's not on the other person. It's really sitting right here in our lap. And I think, unfortunately, we tend to not take accountability
Yeah.
for what we have control over. We tend to put that accountability on someone else, and it's not their responsibility.
Right.
Make sure we get what we came to get. If they are giving it, it's on us to be fully present. And you are absolutely right. You might get a text, you may get a phone call. The question then goes to, have you made yourself and what you want to learn a priority?
Yeah, and it's when you're thinking about what is happening around you, it's not in our nature to put the blame on ourselves. It's in our nature to look outward, not inward. So taking accountability is an action, and it's a conscious action. You have to actually think about it. And when you put that into the mix, you start looking at yourself, and that is where you're going to fine tune. There's only so much people can deliver for you, no matter how much money you pay. There's only so much they can deliver if you're not bringing the shovel to receive it. So you have to do your own work too, to make that money stick and be purposeful.
Absolutely. Dawn, that is wow, y'all. Dawn is on it this morning. She is dropping some gems. No, I'm serious. For real, because when we think about missing money, we think about, those hard, tangible things that you buy, that you receive, or that you may not use, but you don't think about the intangibles. The things, are you focused? Are you using your time? Are you being fully present? Are you making you a priority in
Absolutely.
what you wanted to learn? And it, like you said, we tend as human beings to always blame outward, or always, I don't even want to say blame, always to look outward instead of going inward to figure out, did we really give our all to what we committed to? Because see, we need to commit.
Commit also means focus, and that's one thing Coach talks to me about is focus. And so when I do things, I think, is this going to get me to that result that I'm working towards, and trying to focus in, where am I spending that time? Some things I don't have control over. Like, for instance, I do have my daytime job still. So my focus might be depleted for a while, but when I'm done with the job, how soon do I jump back into that focus? Right. What am I doing between, and there has to be some downtime, because I have to defunk the brain from that corporate world into an entrepreneur world. So that takes focus as well. And the length of time. So you got time in there, and then you have that energy in there. So all of it plays into, how fast can I transition from that to this, and start digging in as fast as I can, shaving down those 21 minutes so I can get back to where I was yesterday. And that takes extreme amount of focus, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. You get a lot more accomplished.
It is worth it. And what you're talking about is being conscious, being fully present, and being fully conscious of, you do need that break. You need that break. But when you take that break to recalibrate, or as they say in the computer world, to clear your cache.
Yes. And have that stopping place. That stopping place helps you dive back in when you've been separated from that work for 24 hours.
Absolutely.
So now I'm like, okay, I know what I did yesterday. I know what my next step was, and that helps you dive in faster.
And what I've done with that, I had started doing, when I get to a stopping point, I will make a note, start here tomorrow, so that
Yes.
I can go back and review what I did, but I know that my starting point, I stopped right here, and this is the next thing I need to start on. And when we were talking about clearing our cache, we're not talking about clearing our CASH. We're talking
No.
about clearing our CACHE. That's a little computer talk, because see, Don is in the computer world, and I love the computer world too. And we all are in the computer world these days, whether we want to be or not.
Yeah. Well, I think we have that cash bank in our own minds where we're sticking stuff and it kind of gets us a little cluttered and clunky and foggy because we have so much just rolling around in there. And just like a computer, we've got to clean out that cache so it can streamline its own processes. We have to streamline our own thought processes.
Absolutely.
So we have to defunk that brain sometimes.
Absolutely. And sometimes, just like when your computer gets clunky and glitchy, you have to turn it off and start over. Turn it on and start over. You have to unplug.
I have 21 tabs open and like 10 Word documents and 3 spreadsheets in my email. And how can I turn it off?
You have to. Because if you don't, what happens? It will all crash.
And it will slow you down. I know when my Zoom doesn't work, it's because I need to reboot.
Exactly. There it is right there, the reboot. Before we came before you live this morning, what did I say to you, Don? Let me close out some of these tabs I have open, because I want StreamYard to run smoothly. I don't want it to have a competing priority.
No, exactly.
That's what happens in our mind.
That fits exactly with what we were talking about. A competing priority.
Competing priority. So now tomorrow night, Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central, close out all of your other competing priorities. Register.
Turn this off.
Yep, turn it off. Unless you're using it to come to the webinar, go to bit.ly/missingmoney21 and register. It's no cost. It's free. I hate that word. It's no cost to you. The only thing it's going to cost you is your time. And when you're putting your time into something, you owe it to yourself to be focused, because that's time that you're not going to get back. So come tomorrow night, find out some other ways that you're missing money. But the big thing is, Coach is going to teach you how to plug those leaking money holes.
Yes.
Any questions that you have, she always stays around and she answers them until the last question is answered. So this could be your first step toward what you want to build for your future. And it's not costing you any money. Because a lot of times when you have to invest, people, when you talk about investing money, I was talking to somebody the other day and I was asking them, would you be a volunteer on my team? And the first thing out of their mouth was, as long as it doesn't cost me any money. Well, sometimes it's best for it to cost you money, because it'll save you time. Because see, time is not something you can get
Well,
back.
and who are they investing in? Were they investing in you, or are they investing in themselves? What do you get from volunteering that time?
Exactly.
So sometimes that is a priority you have to consider as well.
Exactly. You make such a great point with that, because we are, as you said, we are always looking outward. We very seldom look inward. So when you're volunteering for someone else to help them out, but you're doing it and you are learning something that you didn't know.
Of value. Yep.
A value that you did not know, who is it really benefiting? See, we don't look at stuff like that. We don't look at things like that. But y'all, guess what? We have to manage our time. We have to make sure that we don't have competing priorities. We have to make sure we clear out our tabs, our brains, so that we can stay on our path. And we
Yes.
want you all to come along with us on this path to your more, to your legacy, to your journey. And we want you to join us on that journey too. Like I said, sharing is caring. Make sure you share out the broadcast, and make sure you meet us in the room tomorrow night at bit.ly/missingmoney21. Go over, register, and be curious. Curiosity is a big component to growth, you know.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Well,
get.
hey, we will be there too. So bring your questions and make sure that you're registering at bit.ly/missingmoney21 and come hang out with us.
That's right. Come on, hang out with us and have some fun and learn something at the same time. We're going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. It's a Friday.
Right, yay.
We wish we had. I wish I had keyed up some music for us on the way out, but we'll just bob our heads anyway, like we hit them.
Yep.
And we will see you all, because the BYOB show will be back in the morning for the weekend show. And it's the weekend, so we can do some other things.
And I will be joining you too tomorrow.
All right. See, we'll have Dawn back again tomorrow. That's exciting, you all. So please come and join us. We want you all to have a wonderful Friday on purpose. Bye,
See you
everybody.
tomorrow. Bye-bye.